You co-wrote China RX in 2018. And it talks about the risks, the dangers of having China control so much of the medical supply chain. Has there been any kind of major global event recently that has made you want to tell people, "I told you so"?
Well, China RX, which, as you said, came out in 2018, predicted exactly what happened. I didn't realize it would happen so quickly. So here we have a global pandemic. You have more than 100 countries affected, and we have a highly centralized supply chain for basic medicines to care for people who are sick with a pandemic and hospitalized. And guess what? As predicted, the US was standing in line with other countries to get vital medicines to take care of people and prevent them from dying. It's shocking that we have allowed this to happen. We prepare better for hurricanes than we do for things like this. Just think about 100 countries competing for the same stuff that we need to survive. And these are the same things that hospitals need every day in ICUs and operating rooms. And we can't make basic medicines anymore. We can't make any antibiotics anymore in this country. And if I can say, none of the money that's been spent on COVID relief, what, trillions, not a single penny has gone to begin to have some manufacturing capability here in this country for just the basic medicines. Sure, they'll spend it on PPE and all sorts of things, but not a single penny has gone to rebuild the manufacturing base. It's collapsed for stuff that we need to survive.
We can't even make antibiotics?
We can no longer make penicillin. We can't make any of the classes of antibiotics. And that's because China got global control over the components to make them. It's like you've all heard of rare earths. Your viewers have heard of rare earths, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how China has a chokehold on those rare earths that are used in phones and hybrid cars and wind turbines. It's the same thing with our medicines. China controls about 90% of the global supply of the core components we need to make basic drugs for our pharmaceutical industry. And China RX exposed it. Nobody wanted to talk about it. So yeah, we depend on China and the world depends on China for the vast majority, 90% of the core components for our global pharmaceutical supply. And it was, as a private citizen, I exposed that.
How did you kind of discover or start researching this?
Well, I was just looking to write another book that would be in the public interest, because I think that's why we're here. We have to give back and do something that helps people. And I just stumbled on this topic, and I kept digging and digging, and jaw dropper after jaw dropper. I did it from on my home laptop, and it took 3 years to research it, and then another year and a half to write it in a way that could be easily understood for people like my mother. And so it was a very laborious, probably the most difficult thing I've written, but the findings are just shockers. I'm happy to say that a number of the recommendations are being implemented. And that's very heartening. And a gentleman in industry said, because of your book, our company did something different to create a more resilient supply chain, and thanked me for it. I've had a number of words of thanks from industry people as well as people in government.
What are some of the things that have changed?
What's changed is that companies and the federal government have been looking at where our medicines are coming from and the components to make them. It was very satisfying. I had the privilege of giving testimony to the House Energy and Commerce Health Subcommittee in October 2019. And it was on exactly this subject. And right before me was a panel with a very senior person from the FDA who's testified probably 100 times before Congress. And this person came in with an entourage of staff. And I'm sitting, just me. And it's very clear that the FDA was asked, so tell us, where are we dependent? And FDA provided some data that frankly was misleading for a variety of reasons. But it was clear that people are asking this question now: where do our medicines come from? Not just the pills we take, but what we need to make them.
So when you say core components of the medicines, what are the things you're talking about? Like the things that are being manufactured?
Well, let's take vitamin C. That's not a prescription drug, but ascorbic acid. We can't make vitamin C anymore in the United States.
Really?
We can't make it. So if you take this vitamin C in your cereal, or the pill that you take sitting on the kitchen counter, the core component in it is probably sourced from China. And it's not, here's something else that was another real eye-opener. I thought that, well, we buy these things from China because it's cheaper. Well, that's true, but it's not a real price. China has formed cartels, the penicillin cartel, the vitamin C cartel, and they just dump product on the global market at below market prices, and they drive out their competitors. That is their MO.
Wow.
Why are they doing that?
Because they want to gain global dominance. Another eye-opener was China saying it's our goal to become the pharmacy to the world. And I have to say, I admire their ambition, their strategy, and their execution, because that's exactly what's happening.
So it's not that we couldn't start making vitamin C again. It's that China has dumped these products on the US for so long that there's no more manufacturing anymore that does it in the US. But we could just, theoretically, some enterprising person in the US could start a factory and make the core components for vitamin C and then sell made in America vitamin C, right? It could be done quickly, right?
Absolutely. Well, Save the Four of Us wanted to say, we want to make some U.S. based, set up a manufacturing facility to make vitamin C here, the ascorbic acid. Mm-hmm. The thing is, we would need to have customers. And who would our customers be? And this gets into a whole other dynamic. We can point the finger at China, but we really have to point the finger at ourselves. Because all the special interests love to buy cheap, even if it's sold on the global market in a way that is contrary to a real market competition, even if they illegally dump. These are all illegal trade practices, even if they form cartels, which is illegal under antitrust law. A lot of people love cheap stuff from China because they make more money on the margin. So we might have to charge a little bit more. And we see this with prescription drugs. I'll give you a great example in a minute. But they want to buy cheap. So yes, we could set up a manufacturing plant, but we wouldn't have any customers.
I see. So it's not like the customers are people who go to the health food store and buy the vitamins. The customers are actually giant corporations like General Mills who are buying this in bulk, and they want the cheapest price, right?
That's exactly right. And let me give you a really great example that was brought to my attention by a very prominent physician just the other night. So we were talking, and he described a woman that he knows who has some heart issues, and she was on this blood pressure medicine. And suddenly, with this blood pressure medicine, her blood pressure, systolic blood pressure, went up to 180, 190, which is like hypertensive crisis. That's bad news. And so they went back to the pharmacy and they got a different generic product. And her blood pressure went back to normal, like overnight. And it turns out that the first generic was a product made by a Chinese domestic company and sold here. And this blood pressure medicine was sold by a very well-known retail pharmacy chain. So the retail pharmacies and all the other special interests, the big buyers, there are just a handful of buyers of generic drugs. They love to buy cheap. They have algorithms that scour the globe looking for something that's 5 cents cheaper for a 50-gallon drum of whatever. This is like, Amazon. Amazon, they want to sell sheep. But these are medicines. And this is life and death stuff here. So it's not just China. China's taking advantage of American greed. And this kind of greed can kill. And it has killed.